we got a lot of people joining in. This is great. We're already engaging in the chat, which is going to be perfect for today's session. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Shahram Zarshanis, co-founder, CEO at Financial Sense. And we've got a really excited webinar for you all today. And it's going to be a really engaging webinar. This is our first Workflow Swap Live. This is going to be a great opportunity for all of you to save time by crowdsourcing some templates so you don't have to build them yourself. Today, you're going to hear from 5 workflow experts as they give you a high-level overview of their processes. And at the end, are actually going to share those templates with you so you can take them home and start using them today. This broadcast, so if you are joining from Facebook or Twitter and you're watching live and you want to engage, make sure you click the link in the chat to join in so you can engage, because you cannot engage from those live channels. So I'm going to talk through how it's going to work today. So inside the chat today, which a lot of you are already engaging in, which is great, you're going to have the ability to swap templates. We've got 5 amazing speakers that are going to give a quick 5-minute overview of their templates and share them with you. But if there are templates that we're covering today that are not covered today, you can ask in the chat and encourage someone actually to share or share your own. And I'm actually going to show you how this works, right? So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Make sure I do this right. Share screen. Okay. So if you have a workflow template inside Financial Sense, this is a new feature, by the way. So if you haven't seen this before, you might not have seen it. There's now a share template button. And when you click this button, you can share it, and then you can choose what to share. You can choose the tasks, subtasks, client tasks, all those workflow automations, email templates, task descriptions, and resources, and write a fun little message. And then when you do that, you're going to get a little link. So once you've copied the link, you can drop this link in the chat. And what that's going to allow people to do, which let me actually show this in a different window, is when people click that link. So let me share my new screen. They're going to see this. They're going to see the name of the template and all the different parts of the template, and they can now add it to their account. So they're not going to see your template in your account, but they'll be able to now add that template to their account. And that's what we're going to be really focusing on today. So if you have any templates that you want to share, please drop them in the chat. Our speakers today are going to share their templates so you can have them with the same method by dropping the links in the chat. So really excited to get this started. We're going to kick it off first with Jenny Rost. She is the owner of Construct Bookkeeping. She has almost 20 years of experience in construction accounting and has owned her firm for over 4 years. Jenny and her team support contractors with bookkeeping, payroll, sales tax, and back office. And they've actually been using Financial Sense for almost 2 years. And she's actually shared a lot of her templates in our Facebook community. So she's definitely very experienced with this. And she's got a really cool lead and sales template to share with you today. So Jenny, I'll hand it over to you.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on today. I'm excited to share my new lead discovery call template with you. So the first thing to note is this template is tagged with a lead tag. I recommend using that. I also recommend setting up a group for all of your leads, and we call that our lead group. And that helps just in sorting within projects and using the templates and projects that way. So before the actual call, we're going to prep for that call. And everyone has a different way of receiving a referral or making contact with that lead. And then from there, we are going to set up our client in FC. In past talks, I've mentioned that we used to use a lead client for every client. Now we set up a new client each time. The reason we're doing this now is because Financial Sense added so many different automation tools that we want to be able to take advantage of. And then we are going to research the lead. So for every state and company, this is a little bit different, but I listed out the different areas in which we research a lead before we schedule a call with them. We like to link those over here in resources as well. So these are a couple examples from my state, but you guys might use different ones. What's great about this section here is once we meet with, or once we schedule with the lead, this automation right here is set up that once this task is complete, they will get an email so they can actually schedule with us from my booking calendar. And that works out really well. So you guys are going to get that templated email in here as well. And you guys can set up your own booking link to Calendly or whatever it is you might use right there. So they're going to schedule that meeting. And then when we go to have that discovery call, is what we like to call it, we always record the call. And for that, we use Fathom Note Taker. And that is linked right here in resources. There's also a referral code in there to get 3 months free of that. So if you guys want to use that, that is there as well. In the intro of the call, I like to have an icebreaker question. I really like to find out what their purpose and outcomes are, any goals and pain points that they have in their business. And while I'm doing that, I will use this call notes section, and I'll start adding notes and to-dos and ideas and things throughout the call. In this call, I really go through our lead intake form, and I don't have clients fill that out before the call. I do that during the call because I think it's so important to bring up dialogue and questions and comments during that. I linked that right here. It's not my actual intake form, but it is the template that Financial Sense has set up for that. And then once we get through all of those questions on that lead intake form, which helps me learn so much about their business, I will jump into what our monthly processes and services are. This is just a general overview. I don't go into specific pricing or services for that client. I save that for our paid diagnostic review, which kind of helps me determine what they're going to need as far as services go forward. But from here, I can touch on some specific areas that might be important for that lead to know about. And then from there, we're going to talk about expectations and questions, and then review next steps. So how are they going to get the next steps after this? Are we going to use the client tasks in Financial Sense? Are we going to send them an email, a proposal, something via our CRM? So we often, previously, we use client tasks, and we would send a diagnostic video, the proposal through Adobe Sign, things like that in our client tasks, which works out really well. Or if you're using a program like Ignition, there's a link in here as well for that. And either one works really well. I like the ability to link anything in here. So even if you are using another CRM, you can link it in here and it works well. After we send that diagnostic review proposal and the invoice, and then the client goes ahead and pays that, we are going to kickstart our diagnostic review project where we actually complete that diagnostic review project. Another thing that I love in here is the new automation where we can kickstart a project from that task automation. So as soon as the client pays and we click this item off, a new project is going to be set up in Financial Sense for that diagnostic review project. And then from there, we're going to follow up with the lead at some point and then update our lead status. We're going to remove this lead tag and maybe move them into a new category for onboarding or something like that. I have all the resources linked down here for you guys that we use that might be great for you guys to set up as well. So let me go ahead and share this template with you guys. We're going to include the email templates, all the task description, and those resources right there. New lead. So I'll copy that and pop it over here in the chat for you guys. Let me know what questions you have.
So it looks like there's just one question, which is the first invoice for diagnostic service only?
It is. So my very first invoice is for the diagnostic review, which is a paid service. And I really try and base it off of revenue during that intake questionnaire to see how large they are, how many transactions they have. And then I have pricing tiers from there on that paid diagnostic review.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay, it
Great.
looks like that's all the questions we have. If I missed you, drop the question in again. But before we move on to the next person, I want to give a shout out to Chantel for sharing her tax return preparation template, even though she's not a speaker. Again, if you guys want to share your templates, drop in the chat because it's going to benefit everyone because it's going to encourage other people to share as well. And Chantel did ask, even though she shared a tax return template, that she's also interested in seeing how other people are doing it. So uh, even if someone drops the same template, every firm's a little bit different. They're all looking for ways to improve. Really encourage you guys to drop your templates in the chat that you're willing to share. I think I did see one more question come in. Uh, so there was a follow-up question on that. So you need to capture their email first. Is that correct, Jenny?
Yeah, I just responded in the chat. So that questionnaire, that lead intake questionnaire that I talked about, mine is huge. And so we get their email, we get a lot of that data during that call. And yeah, that email would either come from that referral process or when they called in initially.
Okay, perfect. So now we're going to move on to our next workflow specialist. We have Festina Manly-Spain. She's going to cover onboarding. A little bit about Festina. She's a certified public accountant with over a decade of experience in accounting and taxes. She is the founder of FMS Advisory, a boutique accounting and tax based in Rockville, whose mission is to spread financial positivity through top tier accounting services that empower business owners to build the businesses of their dreams. Festina, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Excited to share this with you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So we're going to talk about the client onboarding that my firm used to get our clients onboarded and into our systems. So I use Ignition, and Ignition talks to or integrates with QuickBooks, and QuickBooks integrates with Financial Sense. So I actually don't have, Zapier. I used to use Zapier before coming onto Financial Sense, but I let that go because as soon as a client signs a contract, it goes into QuickBooks and it shows up on my client list in Financial Sense. From there, we start our onboarding workflow, and we also use tags. So we have the onboarding tag on here so we can quickly track which clients are being onboarded during a certain time. The first step is to send our welcome email, and I have an automation here. So I use the automation feature to send an email. So as soon as we click done on this task, a welcome email will go out to the client. And it just says, hey, it's official. We're thrilled that you chose us as your trusted business advisor. Here's what's next. And we also use client tasks, which I will show you after this to see. So you can see what will show up on the client side once they log into Financial Sense. So we go ahead and send the welcome email. I also like to send my clients a gift just as a thank you. So my onboarding specialist will go ahead and send that out. We track system access. So this is our accept system access and subtax. So I use exclusively QuickBooks. We also want to track bank and credit card, read-only access if possible for my e-commerce clients, that's their POS. And for payroll clients or clients with employees, their payroll system. We also request certain documents, so we'll go ahead and review those and get those filed in Financial Sense. And then we start preparing for the kickoff call. So I like to get the kickoff call agenda drafted. I'll put a date here on the kickoff call so it falls on my calendar if I'm holding the kickoff call. And then we hold call, and I also send a recap email. Most of the time, send a recap email to the client once that's done. So that's just a little reminder to do so. And then we also want to set up the client in our firm app. So email marketing, document storage, G Drive, and I think that's all the apps really, because everything is so streamlined with Financial Sense and Ignition and QuickBooks. Um, then we start our actual delivery workflow. So most clients will go into the what I call the implementation workflow, which is like cleanup or tax research or tax planning, whatever it is that doesn't fall neatly into one of the other packages or other categories, I put into implementation. And I'll do bookkeeping, if we're doing monthly recurring bookkeeping, taxes, if we're filing their taxes. And then I also want to do a contract review. So this is just a reminder to put a date on that for a year ahead, to do a contract review so that we can get the client, just make sure we're actually doing that part. So client tasks, I have this on here, watch welcome video as the first step, but I haven't recorded anything. So that's just a little reminder to myself. But I would like to get the client like a nice welcome video just to welcome them. I also give them instructions or just a link to QuickBooks or Intuit on how to give us a accountant access if they don't know how to. I request their recently filed taxes, so upload their tax returns. I also request their business documents, articles of organization, EIN, sales tax, payroll, all that good stuff. And then I want bank access. I prefer read-only bank access because it just cuts down the time it takes to get statements from clients. But if that's not possible, I always ask them to upload the statements instead. And then this is a reminder for the clients to go ahead and accept their gift and finally schedule their kickoff call. So for the kickoff call, I put my Calendly link here so they can do that. I think that's everything. I will definitely share this with you all. Let me do so now, including the email template. And I don't have much resources like Jenny did, but I think it's still a very robust onboarding workflow. So let me drop this in the chat.
Awesome.
Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
So it looks like there was just one question I saw, which is, what
Mm-hmm.
gift do you send your clients? Several people asked this, so there's a lot of
Oh, the
interest.
gifts?
Yeah.
Okay, so I use a platform called OnGoodie. Yeah, OnGoodie, and I just do a $25 gift card, and they can go ahead and pick whatever they want from their offerings. So they have everything from like teas and cookies and from well-known brands as well. So I don't actually go ahead and pick the gift. I just send them a gift card.
Yeah, that's good. That makes it
Yeah.
easy. It's easy for them to, I mean, and
Yeah.
they make so it's more customized. And so
Yeah, and they love it.
someone said it's called Well Goodie. Is
Oh,
that right?
OnGoodie. I'll put in the chat.
Awesome.
I'll try to find the link for you all.
Perfect.
Yeah,
All right.
clients love receiving gifts. So anything you can do to send them, to make them happy, I would.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Festina, thank you so much for sharing that with us today. We're going
Thanks
to
for
move on
having me.
to, yeah, no problem. We're going to move on next to Shannon Theis. Shannon launched her first accounting business in 2006 and transitioned to specialize solely to payroll in 2019. And that's what she's going to be talking about today, is her payroll workflow. Now focused on restoration, she combines her expertise and certification in various accounting software systems to fix complex payroll issues and ensure clients' compliance and peace of mind. So, Shannon, I'll pass it off to you.
All right. Sorry, I have too many windows open, so it's taking me a minute to find the right window. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I almost had everything like all completely queued up here. So my firm is one that uses a lot of tags. I'm just going to show you this here while I'm at the top, because there's actually a task in here that the very first time we use this, we have to add state tags. So we have, because we do a lot of payroll, we have a tag for every state that we are working in. And we have a task in here that shows that we need to add the state tag to the project once it's not a template anymore. And so this is our quarterly payroll that we process in QuickBooks Desktop. And we have a QuickBooks Desktop tag at the top, a quarterly tag. There'll be a state tag. And normally it would have a Lisio tag, because that is where we communicate for this business. I operate 3 businesses out of my one Financial Sense account. So we have business tags too. So our preparation for quarter end is we go into QuickBooks Desktop, we prepare and save the quarterly payroll summary, the 941 with the Schedule B if it's needed, the state withholding worksheet, and the state unemployment worksheet. And then if there are local or special taxes, we prepare and save that Excel macro. We start this 12 days before the due date, and our quarterly returns are all due on the 12th of the month following the close of the quarter. So the quarter 2 was due July 12th. And then we have review and reconcile all of the returns that we saved. We do all of our stuff in batches. So we'll do all of the preparation for all of our clients, then we'll do all the review and reconcile for all of our clients. So that's why there's a bigger gap here, because preparation is 12 days before the due date and review and reconcile is 7 days before. And I don't have any dependencies on any of these, but you can see that we do have all of our time constraints added in here as well. And then we file all of the returns, and we do that 1 day before, but we do have a dependency on every single one where the task is due, or it's dependent on the manager review being completed for every single one of these. They all have the same dependency, except for this one. This one, before we can mark it as paid in QuickBooks Desktop, we have to file the SUTA report. And then back on track, the manager review is dependent on the manager review. And why is this not closing? There we go. And then as soon as we upload the 941 to the client in Lisio, we add waiting on client tag, and it is dependent on the manager review. So we can't mark any of these as done until that the manager review is done. We did add that because occasionally we would, now that we've got it all in the sections, a couple of times we did forget to wait for the manager review to be done before the returns all got filed. It didn't cause any issues, but it could have. So we added that dependency. And then we have admin tasks after everything is done. We'll create a quarter end packet to upload to the client in Lisio. So we've got subtasks of create the packet and upload to client, because theoretically we could create all the packets before any of them get uploaded. So we wanted to separate that out so that something doesn't get missed. And then after the packet gets uploaded to the client, we go back to the original 941 and type the date that we uploaded it. And then we so these are the admin tasks that are due only one time. So we'll add our our state specific SOPs to the resources tab. Our templates all have a ton of resources added to them. However, they go specifically to a site that we have to be logged into. So, because we have a ton of SOPs, and so I did remove the resources, but if anybody wants to reach out to me privately on Facebook, and if you want to take a look at any of our SOPs, I can try to figure out how to make those shareable, and to make sure that they don't have any client confidential information on them. And then we add state tags, so every single client or every single state that a client has payroll in will add the tags to the project. And then post quarter end, we'll get verification back from the client that the 941 was signed and mailed. And then we type that also on the top of the 941 for our records. And I was noticing as I was going through this, our budget is not totally correct, but that is just a manual that you come in and you override it right there. Because we like to have all of our budgeted time on every single project plus a budget for the project, so that when we're looking at it on our dashboard, we can see how much time we have on a project and how much time we've estimated that it will take. So I'm going to go ahead and share this here. We don't use email, but I'm just going to click everything here and copy that and put that in. There we go.
Awesome.
Does anybody have any questions on our template?
So while we wait for see if there's any questions coming in on her template, I want to answer a technical question someone had. Someone asked if you can make another project dependent on another project. You can't do that in financial sense. You can't set dependencies on different projects. You can only do it between tasks, but there is an automation to where you can create a project when a project is completed with the task automation. So when a task is completed, the last task, it can create a project. I don't know if that solves the problem for you, potential workaround, but just wanted to share that. I also want to give a shout out to Christopher Nash and again, Chantel. They're both on fire in the chat, sharing a lot of templates, which is great. You got to give to get. So if you guys want to share some templates, share templates. It encourages people to share more so everyone can learn how they're maximizing their workflows. And I think there was someone actually asking if anyone has a tax resolution template to share. So if anyone's got one of those, feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll go to questions. Let's see. Did any questions come in?
I wanted to just share one more thing.
Okay.
We can set default settings for the projects in here. So we can have it be due a set number of days and have it be recurring or not. So this is going to recur every 3 months, and assign a start date from the template. We're not going to do that. And then this is the part we like Adrian on my team is always going to be the payroll specialist, and I'm always going to be the manager. We can set that as a default setting, and we do have a lot of our templates with defaults already set. And that's just one more way to make these a lot easier once you activate them.
Okay, perfect. So it doesn't look like we had any questions come in. Shout out to April for sharing a template. And there's some questions if people got other templates that they're interested in sharing. But let's move on to our next workflow specialist. So now we have Sarah Prevost. Sarah is a seasoned accounting professional with 20 plus years of experience in servicing attorneys and law firms. She's deeply involved in the legal community and certified in Clio, Gusto, Lean Law, and Zero. She also co-founded the Proper Trust, Create Collaborate, and co-hosts the Accounting Law podcast, which if you haven't listened in, you should. There was a recent episode where I actually got to talk with their team. They're a lot of fun to hang out with. They got a great podcast, so be sure to listen in if you get some time. And as an accomplished leader and collaborator, Sarah is passionate about accounting for various businesses, especially the legal space. Sarah, excited to have you on. Tell us about the template you're sharing today.
Sure. It's so let me get over and share my screen. It's going to be just like very similar to a lot of people. You have your monthly, let's see here, monthly accounting. I think I got it here. Standard accounting for a monthly reconciliation at the end of the month to close up, but it's definitely legal specific. So we start off with, similar to what Shannon just said, we have 3 businesses in this file. So our tags will always label which company the employee is working on. And also similar, we're a Lisio user, so you'll see a lot of Lisio references here. But very simple. We'll just start off with pulling the bank statements and the credit card statements, and we'll put in the GL lines, the numbering sometimes in here. We go through a whole bunch of reconciliation. The special one here for us, a delineation, is we do a proper 3-way reconciliation. And then we also have a revenue reclass reconciliation that we handle due to a lot of software. So like Clio, for example, comes into 1 revenue bucket, Lean Law, 1 revenue bucket. So clients like to see that differently. We do have, as you could see, there's some of these automations, these active automations on here. And that's due to where things are in preparation and process. And that takes us out to a 3-way reconciliation completion, because that needs to be reviewed by someone else on our team, especially the revenue one too, just to validate information. And then we'll run through reviewing a myriad of different things that we need. A lot of this will get customized further, but this is the top level items that we tackle. We also do an additional review, so we'll keep her on top so we can review categorization, make sure everything's in the right bucket. If there was a change, clients do this all the time to us. I want it in this bucket, and then they change it to this bucket. So we discuss that in historical conversations, so client understands you're changing the way you want something recorded. This is the impact. And then we will compile quite a bit. We're both QuickBooks and Zero based users. So we'll compile quite a bit, and we'll upload these and send a message to the client. So ours is very, very kind of simple in the monthly. There's a lot going on in here. In the same token, we have a ton of tags, so there could be additional tags that they can add when utilizing this tool. So let me switch over and see if there were questions too. I'm not sure if there were. Oh, one thing I should say, because Shannon covered payroll, I specifically pulled payroll is a whole separate beast for us. So it's not included. When we do have a boutique firm and it's a very simple payroll, we will add a whole payroll segment to this section. So, and then our resources are very simple for us internally. So this is really our internal space, our workspace. Stop sharing. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Sarah, now that you're done, could you share the template into the
Yes, that's right. Okay, so we'll do that. We don't have this side. I'll grab these for us. Okay, and then I'll post that over here.
Awesome. Thank
There
you
you
so
go.
much.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to everyone. The chat is engaged. If you're not looking at the chat, there a lot of people are sharing templates. People's minds are being blown. Because like the best part about this is, it's a empty canvas, right? And sometimes you don't
Mhm.
know, really can't think about how to build your workflows. And by seeing other people's templates and sharing these templates, you're getting new ideas. It's things that you never even realized that you could do and how to set it up. And it really creates just better workflows overall. And that's kind of our goal here is let's work together to help everyone build better processes. And you guys all sharing is making that possible. So thank to everyone. I can't even call out the names anymore because there's so many different people doing it now. But thank you all.
I I have to say, Sharam, it's really fun to see like Festina's and Jenny's and Shannon's just because they're elements to everything we do and same kind of work product, same sort of tools. So it's really nice to kind of see how everyone's gravitated. So I appreciate this a lot. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. So we have one more workflow specialist coming on. We have Nick Boscia. As a distinguished CPA and EA, he co-owns Boscia and Boscia PC. Nick is also known for his brand, The Balanced CPA, which embodies his mission to blend professional growth with a fulfilling personal life. So he champions a balanced lifestyle, which is important. And I think a lot of things accountants sometimes don't get to have. So he's prioritizing his mental health, his personal well-being in the accounting profession. Nick promotes a career that includes travel, strong relationships, and continued learning, providing that success and fulfilling personal life can coexist. So if you're an accountant and you feel like you're not coexisting with that, it is possible. Um, so I will pass it off to Nick to talk about a little bit about his template.
Hey everyone, thanks for the introduction. I'm excited to share my template, which is actually a client offboarding template. So here you'll see what we have, and before Financial Sense, we actually didn't really have a good way to track offboarding. So a client would either say close their business or they would find a new accountant, and then we would forget to track this and have an efficient process to see who's getting offboarded, when they're getting offboarded, and tracking the services. So you see the billing test. This is where we start. Typically a client will say, hey, we're closing our business, or hey, I found a new accountant, and we'll save that email in Smart Vault. That's what we use for our document management. And then the next step would be just making sure we're collecting any outstanding invoices. There shouldn't be any at this point, but some of our older clients don't pay up front, so that's always an important step in the offboarding process. Making sure we terminate the agreement in Anchor. So I know a couple of people on the call mentioned they use Ignition or other billing softwares. We just happen to use Anchor because in the past what we would do, we would offboard the client and we would forget to terminate their recurring services, and then they would get billed when we stopped doing work, and obviously that doesn't really look too good. So it's just like a double check to make sure we're marking off everything that needs to be done when we offboard a client. And then here we have an automation, just setting a wrap-up email template. So when you go in here, it's just a little email basically just saying, acknowledging that they no longer need to work with us. If it's new, if they need a new accountant or they no longer have accounting needs, and just referring them back to Smart Vault where they could access all their documents, because a lot of times you'll offboard a client and then in tax time, they're basically reaching out saying, oh, hey, can I get a copy of my tax return or whatnot? And we're kind of just reminding them that they have access to everything. So it makes the process pretty seamless. And then on our end, we want to make sure we use Lacert for our tax software. So we make sure we change their status to do not file, because we would transfer them forward into next year's software, and we would reach out to the client accidentally realizing that we offboarded the client and we no longer need to work on them. So just making sure, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, ending recurring projects in Financial Sense. So we don't do monthly bookkeeping for a client who no longer needs our services. Removing any client groups. That's how we do a lot of our sorting for our workflow. So we remove any client groups, and we'll just put offboarding in the client. And then we're located in New Jersey. So if a client's actually closing, that it's a trigger to us to make sure we're dissolving the business in New Jersey. I'm sure every state has different processes. So this is what we use for offboarding, and it's really helpful because even if we can't do it right away, it's saved in the client's project list. So it kind of is a trigger to the team to not accidentally work on a client that we no longer need to work on, and making sure we're completing every task here. So I think it's been super helpful for us. And before Financial Sense, we would always forget to do some of these tasks. So I absolutely love it. And then we have resources going to either Anchor to terminate their agreements or SmartVault. I can share my template here. I'll paste this into the chat. I don't know if there are any questions.
I haven't seen any questions come through, but if anyone has any questions specifically about this template, drop them in. Let's see. Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any questions. I did see a technical question. So someone was asking, when they've updated a template that they've already used on clients, how do they push those updates live? So I'll say there isn't a way to do that yet. The workaround is either to delete all those projects and recreate them or update them individually. But in a few, hopefully this month or next month, this quarter, we're going to be releasing an update where you can, if you update a template, you can push all those changes to existing projects created by that template, which will make it much easier to update your workflows and improve your workflows. So wait, let's see. Was there any questions that came in? There's a lot of chats. Okay, I don't think there are any other questions. So that wraps up this webinar or this engaging event, which this is our first one, and this went really well. It looks like everyone's really enjoying this, so we'll definitely have to do this again. But I want to thank all of our workflow experts for joining us. And I want to also thank everyone who joined and actually shared their templates. This created a very engaging experience. It created a bunch of value, not just for the attendees, but even the people presenting here today. I think everyone got to learn a little something from everyone. But I do want to say it doesn't have to stop here. So someone did ask, like, is there an FC forum? So I'm going to drop this in. We have a Facebook user community. So I'm dropping this in the chat. If you are not in our user community on Facebook, make sure you join, because this is where all of our users hang out. They share tips, they share best practices. This is a new feature, so we don't have like a specific place like, let's share templates, let's have them all live here. It may be something we do in the future, but this is a place where you guys can actually talk with other users, share templates, ask for templates, and just share best practices overall. So make sure you join the user community if you are not in it already. But that being said, I think that's everything. Again, I want to thank everyone that helped present today, and I want to thank everyone for attending and engaging. This was a really great event. So until then, I'll see you guys in the Facebook user community or at the next event. Thanks, everyone.